Peace, y'all. It's your man, Dave. You may have heard me alongside my brother Quest on the Marriage Ain't for Suckers program. We're still going strong, and now it's time to take it up a notch. This is the Grown and Married program with my co-host, my rib, the queen of my castle, the queen of my life, Simone Harris. We've been friends for almost 30 years and married for almost 20. So we know a thing or two about making marriage and relationships work if you're willing to make it work. So gather round, y'all. Share this with your spouses, your friends, your frenemies, and yes, even your enemies. And let's make marriages phenomenal together. Queen Simone, I know you're ready. I know you're set. So let's go!
Peace, y'all. It's L. David Harris. I am your host, and this is the Grown and Married program. And of course, we are outside again, and you want to know who the we are. That means that my one good wife is on my right hand. Her name is Simone. I call her Queen Simone, depending on where we are. And if you could see her right now, then you might agree. Ha ha ha. Yeah, so this is the Grown and Married program where we talk about things that grown folks who are married would want to talk about, but maybe don't have anybody to talk to. Yeah. So welcome. And like I said, we are continuing outside in nature. So you'll hear certain creatures and critters making noise, and maybe even big dogs, who knows. And we're going to begin in a moment. But first, I'd like for you to direct your web browser to www.grownandmarried.com. I said 3 W's.
Yes, you did.
www.grownandmarried.com, and there you can find access to whatever we're doing and to the different podcasting aggregator sites where hopefully you will leave your honest review and rating. That's www.grownandmarried.com.
Not WW.
So this week we are discussing a topic that I absolutely hate, but it's necessary.
Yes.
And I don't have any hard copy books anymore. I gave them away. And maybe we can talk about that last one. Did I give it away to that one person, or did I only give Daenerys' book to
her? Someone else.
Somebody else.
Yes.
Okay, somebody else. Got it. Yeah, I remember that now.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably going to be backwards, but here it is. Enough, taking back your life after years of abuse. Enough, taking back your life after years of abuse. And I'll tell you, Simone, well, first of all, you're looking at the CD distributed version. Blackstone did it. They're about the biggest CD distributors for books in the world. So it's in Walmart and all kind of different places. But I'll tell you, after I published that book, it hit me that maybe that's not the way to get the message out, because maybe if it's a woman who is suffering abuse, and we'll talk about that in a moment, maybe she wouldn't be able to have that sitting on her nightstand.
Mm-mm.
But hopefully, if persons are downloading the ebook or the audio book, it can be helpful to you or to someone else. Of course, my former business partner, Daenerys, wrote her story in her book, which would have been a lot easier to sort of disguise.
Yes.
But I was so zealous, I had to publish a book anyway, and hopefully it can be helpful to someone, regardless of probably not the best idea in terms of packaging. Again, the title is Enough, Taking Back Your Life After Years of Abuse. So today we're talking about abuse. And do you want to kick it off, Simone?
It is a very, very touchy subject to me. Because, I have not experienced abuse in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Not physical, not emotional. Sorry, you seem like I'm slowing down. I'm trying to think. But
sexual.
I don't remember. Well, yes, I did.
But not in marriage.
But not in marriage.
Right.
Right. Not in a relationship, not in marriage. But it was interesting for me when I noticed that someone needed help.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I was like, am I seeing wrong? Because I wasn't sure if...
You mean the most recent?
The most recent one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what I was looking at. And so I didn't say anything at first. And the first time I saw signs, I was like, okay, something is wrong with this person. Something isn't right.
Woman.
Yes, a woman. I said, something isn't right. And then the second time I saw signs again, I was like, oh yeah, no. This is on another, this is it.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to see this woman regularly. And when Simone told me, now I noticed something, but because it's complicated, but I tried not to look at her while she was looking at me because she was close enough in age to us. And in the environment where we saw her, if I really tried to kind of study her appearance to see if I noticed what I thought I was seeing, then it could have been misconstrued as me being a little too forward because I really wanted to see. Like I couldn't just look at her with a quick glance. I needed to really kind of look because she clearly was trying to cover it up. And so I just relied on those eyes, on you, those big old wonderful eyes that can see stuff. And sure enough, the next day we saw her, Lord orchestrated a way for us to be helpful to her. And I'll just put it like that. And then she vanished the next week. And I'm almost certain, no, we're certain that it was to safety.
Yes.
And if we told you the whole story, it would really make your hair stand up.
Stand up.
Because it seemed like the Lord identified it to Simone at just the right time. And we were able to share a resource, and it was Daenerys' resource, not this big old one here, that where she shared her own experience. And the woman broke down right then, pretty much, and was like, you have no idea how this is my story. And we're like, au contraire, mon frère, because the Lord showed it to us. And we moved on, and thank God. And she's safe. Let's put it like that. Let's call it like that.
Yes.
And it's not always the case. But so we're not going to cover all of the different types of domestic violence or abuse in relationships. But the idea is that people, men and women, are being abused. Of course, I'm going to be more on the women are being abused side. Of course, there was a seminar in Trenchtown when we were there all the time where a lot of men were like, or the presenter said that a lot of men finally would admit when they were being abused. But that's not sort of the focus today. But there's physical abuse, there's sexual abuse. You can say emotional or mental abuse, financial abuse for sure. And did I say spiritual? No. Yeah, spiritual abuse. And there is a theory that I ascribe to, and I covered it in this book, and I'll keep holding this up, Enough, Taking Back Your Life After Years of Abuse. It's called the cycle of abuse. And some persons don't agree that exists, the cycle of abuse, not the abuse itself. But I'll just go through very quickly what the cycle is. The tension building phase, I'll say them quickly. The acute violence phase, the honeymoon phase, and of course, for whatever reason, there are people who dispute it. But this is what the tension building phase is. The first phase of domestic violence cycle is called the tension building phase. For whatever reason, tension builds, and we'll call it in the house for those who are married. But you may not be married, and it may not be your household, but in your relationship. And the abuser could become moody or easily upset. And then, of course, you start getting the threats of psychological whatever, right? The physical harm. And then that thing starts to sort of get out of control. You're going to say?
I'll let you finish this because I want to go to pre-marriage.
Okay. Well, it doesn't, you can start here.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, if the signs are there before marriage, it will not change after you get married. The I do. True. It will not. So the moment you identify or you see it, make up in your mind if you're going to take it or if you're going to run. Run for your life.
Hashtag.
Run for your life. So if a family member or someone on the outside sees these what's what I'm looking for, not symptoms.
Signs.
See these signs of abuse, any kind of abuse. Just take it as a word of caution and don't say, well, it's because or it's because he.
It's not your fault. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not your fault. Just run. Because it's not going to get any better later. It'll probably get worse.
Yeah. And so really the cycle starts when either the person who is I'll call that person the abuser. When the abuser starts to become moody, extra picky about stuff that like all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, why you agitated about every little thing? Like you don't like that I wore red today? Like you don't like that dinner is not at the time that you thought it was going to be? Right. You upset because I'm talking on the phone using my social media or just anything, really. You can go down through the list, but you can tell when tension is building in your house because you're going to have a psychological versus physical sort of response where you may get headaches. You may start feeling your heart, beating a little bit more heavy because you're anxious just when you see his face, because you can sense that the tension is building, even if you're not quite yet able to identify that this is a beginning phase of some abuse. Now, he might, fly off the handle, talk about you in pejorative terms, start calling you names, saying how you can't do anything right, or, if you would just, then I would not, kind of, jargon. And right now, we haven't even really gotten to the real blow up yet.
Right.
But it's almost like a plane taking off, except it's more volatile. Yeah. Right. And so that's, the oversimplification of the tension building phase. We're not trying to do a seminar here. But the acute violence phase is when, you get hit, you get squeezed, you get shaken, you get headbutt, you get shoved, you get dragged. You get held on to too tightly. You may be physically close in some sort of almost normal embrace, but it gets a little too tight and he's with, now he's telling you how it's going to be. And if I have to, and please don't make me, I love you. Now you're starting to sense the reality of the physical parts of the abuse.
Now, I do remember a guy that I was involved with. And I went on a trip, came back.
Oh, the no-name dude that didn't matter that I didn't know him.
And I told him, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And
so you were discontinuing whatever that relationship was.
Yeah.
You weren't together yet.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
He wanted more. And I was just like, this is not going to work. And I told him when he came over, he was at my door, and I told him I did not let him pass the threshold. He was standing outside, and my door opened in.
Yeah.
And he grabbed my left arm. Yeah, grabbed my left arm. But what he didn't realize was that I had an aluminum bat behind my door. So while he grabbed my left arm, I'm holding on to the bat. And I picked it up and I said, if you don't, a few choice words, you know. But I'm glad I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it happened because I was just like, Lord, all your good self.
So you probably blew by because he was really, I'm going to say he was insignificant because I didn't know him. Because Simone and I were good friends for years. And I know I didn't know everybody, but the dudes that mattered, I did know of. Maybe have known. So whenever you kept telling me about this story, I was like, who are you talking about? Okay, random dude number one. But so there was probably I'm guessing, no tension building phase in his case.
No, it wasn't.
He just turned up whenever he felt like you were going to abandon him.
Yes.
Straight up.
Yes, because he wanted this relationship. And he wanted this relationship. And I was just like, no, can't.
Go ahead and keep talking. I have to deal with the water problem.
Okay.
I'll be right back after these messages.
Yeah, and so I was just like, I can't believe this just happened to me. And he was like, he stepped back and he's like, oh, so why does it have to be all like that? I said, well, why'd you grab my arm? And I slammed the door, I locked it, and I told him, if you do not leave, I will call the police. Yes, I did. And so, eventually I was just like, Lord, you're just so good, because I could have gotten involved with this guy and now we bang it out because, I could get a little, I'm a nice person, but, I could get a little, because.
You can get a little what?
Violent.
Oh. Yeah, I've seen that, but it wasn't while we were together. There was a guy, well, I shouldn't tell the whole story, but it was years ago, and it was many years before we got married. And the certain guy crossed you up that I didn't even really like anyway. But what you said was startling to me about, what your thoughts were to retaliate against his whatever it was he was doing. And even though I didn't like the dude, and I wasn't even really a believer yet, right? But I knew there was something wrong with my friend. Like, she had lost it. She had lost it, like, because that guy pushed the wrong button with her.
A change has come over.
So you have the acute phase where if we're going to talk about just the physical abuse, where it turns up, and you're being abused because the dude is putting his hands on you the wrong way, straight up. Hands, teeth, head, knees, objects, you should never be squeezed or struck by anything, period. Right? And so there's that. And again, this is not a seminar, so we won't go into all of the details of the different types of abuse that we mentioned earlier. But when you're being abused because something just doesn't feel right.
Right.
And sometimes when it's a financial situation, it's like, you will do exactly what I say or else I'll cut you off financially. But you don't get to leave, kind of thing. So, but the one that for me is very troubling, all of it is troubling, is the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
And let me just say here that if you are in an abusive relationship, counseling as a way to fix that relationship is 100% out of the question. And I hope you can look in my eyes, who are watching, those who are listening, trying to get third party, because I often recommend third party professional counseling. But in this case, for mending relationships. But in the case of persons who are being abused, you may need counseling yourself independently.
Yes.
But to have counseling while being abused simply gives the person, the abuser, the idea, misinformation that, I'm going to say he, and it's not always a him, I understand it, that he has a chance. And I say this at this juncture because of the honeymoon phase. This is the time after, you get that tension built up, and then, pow, the person starts to abuse you some more. And then all of a sudden, you start getting social media posts that say how wonderful you are. You're the best thing since sliced bread. And you start getting extreme gifts.
Yeah.
Vacations, maybe. Maybe a car, depending on how well off your abuser is. Maybe you get wonderful clothing. Maybe all of a sudden you can go on that vacation that you two talked about 10 years ago, but you just never really got to it. Maybe wonderful letters and things that you're like, wow, the romance is all the way up. And you're wondering, like, how is it that yesterday, literally, my whatever significant other was behaving like a maniac? Or if not a maniac, somebody who subtly and violently abuses you. May not be maniacal. The person may just, like pop you in the mouth and then, never yell, never scream and say, I didn't really want to do that. Like that strange stuff that some people see on movies is actually not movie-like. It's for real for some person. And so the honeymoon phase basically lulls most persons who are being abused into a stupor because for some period of time, everything seems perfect. And then the tension builds again.
All part of the cycle.
And that cycle continues over and over. And yes, you might say, well, it doesn't happen exactly that way for me. But this is, it's based on data. And you can see elements of these things building. Of course, I've left a lot out. But the whole point is your significant other is not, I repeat, not, and you may be confused because I say I'm a Christian. Your abuser is not going to change while you're in the relationship. It is not, I repeat, not going to happen. I'm just saying it to you so you can hear it. Hopefully you can view and see my face. So the natural sort of sense of redemption that persons may hope, well, today's going to be the day that he doesn't hit me anymore. That is not something that you hope for. What you hope for is that the Lord give you strength and maybe even law enforcement, maybe even the underground railroads that exist in some states, countries, jurisdictions to get you out of that situation will help you get away to safety. But that person is not going to stop abusing you. They may take a momentary break, but they're not. I hope I said not enough.
Yeah. It's, as you're talking, I'm sitting here thinking like, the individual is abusing or doing the abuse. And I'm just like, okay, and this is what's probably going through the abused person's mind. If I stay, I'll live. But if I run, I'll die. At the same time, it's us looking in. It's like, no, you're actually dying slowly. It's just a matter of when the abuser is finished with you.
Yeah.
I
think this is a good place for me to go through the list again in this book for those who are just joining us. Enough, Taking Back Your Life After Years of Abuse. I published it in 2015 and I think the audio in 2016. But here are some reasons. It's a list.
Yes.
Some reasons that women, I'm picking women, not just women, but women stay in abusive relationships. Fear. They're fearful of the significant other. Right? Now you can be fearful of some other things, but there's fear of the violence of that person. Yes, but there are other fears too, like fear of loss, but of financial whatever. But we'll come back to that in their own bulleted item. Love, and the reality is, you generally get together with somebody because you love them. So if you separate yourself, or you're thinking about separating yourself, you're having this inner conflict that says, "But I love him," and so that can mess with your head because you love the person, right? Hope, and again, I said to you, hope is great. I am into redemption, but if you're in the abusive relationship, it is not going to change while you're in that relationship. And if you are the 0.00001% of persons where that happens, the risk is still 99.9999999% that you will die. And I don't want to say it without, I don't want to sound heartless when I say it. This is not a counseling session. So I guess I can just kind of say it. It's just a matter of when, if you're not able to get out in time, right? So there's hope. Or you might think it's normal. I don't have to give a lot of commentary on that. You might think it's normal. You may have come from an abusive situation. Maybe you grew up in a home. I did, where I was abused. So say I'm a woman and I come up in that situation, and then I get married. It's just, you don't like it. You definitely don't like it, but you just have sort of gotten accustomed to it. It's normal, right? You deal with it. You may have low self-esteem. Yeah. And so not being able to value oneself may be a precipitating factor that says, well, at least during the honeymoon phase, this dude shows me all kind of what is considered love. And so where else am I going to go? Then there's that feeling of isolation. The abuser may have cut you off from family and friends, may have cut you off from your pet if you're into pets. Some people have pets almost like family members. I won't disrespect that, right? There's some people who feel like that. And so you've, been isolated, and now you feel like you and your significant other are the only ones. So what will I do if I do leave, right? There's the shame and embarrassment that comes from either a failed, what people may consider a failed relationship. Or I think I should fast forward to this other one that's a jump off from this, religious or cultural reasons. So if you are a religious person, right, you may be fearful to leave because in your particular religion, it is taboo to get a divorce. Well, divorce and getting to safety are two totally different subjects. I'm not going to get into that. And so I'm not an advocate of divorce. Y'all can fight me all you want. Fine. However, I am more than an advocate. I'm more than an advocate of immediately getting to safety and not returning to that danger zone.
Right.
I am for moving into jurisdictions. Y'all listen to me and listen to me good. Moving to jurisdictions where if you do call the police and you do decide at the last minute that you do not want to press charges, it is too late. I hope you're listening to me. It's too late because the city, state jurisdiction will press charges, even if you get cold feet. I hope you're listening to what I'm saying to you. There are some jurisdictions that if you call 911, 119, or whatever you call it, that even if you decide at the last minute, no, I changed my mind. They're like, nope, holla, homie's going to prison, jail, and be tried for a prison sentence. So I'll just leave it like that. And then you may have a lack of money or resources or a perception of that. If you're a two-income household, you may say that my money is not enough. Or if, God forbid, you're in a one-income household, you may be fearful because, well, what am I going to do? I have no money. Keeping the family together. Some persons stay together because they think that is the better option.
The children are seeing it. So now the children think that's normal. So it just becomes a cycle.
Yeah. I don't know. Do I need to go through all? There's so many reasons.
There are.
I'll go through quickly and don't make any comments on them.
Yeah.
Gratitude. If the significant other has helped you in some way, then you feel like you owe them. You owe them. Okay. Nowhere to go. Immigration status. You listen to me and listen to me very closely. There are some people who hang immigration status over your head. You don't want a free ticket back to wherever you came from wherever you came, right? And the free ticket's not a good one. Language barriers, because there are some persons who don't speak the same language.
True.
and you are the bridge between the cultures or language.
Yeah.
Disability, God forbid, you are sick and need in some way, well, I won't go through a list, but you may have certain conditions where you need the tender care or care at all of your significant other. Well, sometimes it's really a strange thing where, they'll beat you up, but then they'll help you with your disability, right?
Okay.
And then you have, let me try to get this thing to stop. Then you have that your significant other may be a police officer or a soldier. What if that's the case? And I know of situations where that is the case.
I see.
You may be mentally impaired, you may be mentally disabled, or your abuser is. And then, of course, back to the pets. Significant other who is the abuser may hold threats of harm over your head because they know that you are a pet lover.
Yeah.
That if you leave me, I'm going to strangle the cat or throw the dog out the window. And I'm not saying that in a funny way.
Right.
I'm saying that this is what people do. Whatever they can do to hold you in there.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to be insensitive and make it seem like you're weak because one of these things applies to you. Because I know some very strong women who have stayed in abusive relationships. And so I'm careful not to say, well, I can't say it because I'm me. I'm a guy and I don't stand for it. Right? Because I had abuse in my household growing up and in my city. And so I turned way to the other extreme. So I can easy well be insensitive and say I ain't standing for it. But I'm 210 pounds. I'm nice with hands, feet, and objects. And I'm allergic to all sorts of abuse. But I cannot say to person X, Y, or Z, why are you still there?
And some people do say that. Very insensitive.
It's insensitive, man.
Like,
You don't
be quiet.
understand it.
Anywho.
If anything, be very helpful and prayerful. And I don't know what you can do to be helpful, I'm saying. Because when you see people need to get to safety,
they have hotlines.
You want to, in some countries they do.
Yes.
Some countries have no hotline.
That's true.
That's the scary part. In this book, again, last time, Enough, Taking Back Your Life After Years of Abuse, at the very back, I do provide resources to persons who want to get to safety. And so we said a lot. I said a lot especially. But, and we didn't cover it well. I don't know that we did. It's not therapy. It's just to talk about it so that you can have that conversation in your mind and with persons who may be witnessing the abuse that's happening in your household. And maybe you can reach out to them for some help.
Yes.
Certainly. But 119 and 911 are very useful. I'm just going to put it like that. And yeah. So I think I'll just stop there. Yeah. So like I said, it's a subject I did not want to talk about, but if you're going to talk about marriage and relationships, you cannot get around it.
No, you can't.
Just can't.
I think it's a good topic.
Yeah.
Clear the air and bring things forward.
Yeah.
Never know.
You never know. So I'm hoping that this is very helpful to you, or through you, someone else can be helped through their situation. All right. So I think we'll let the people in Audio Zone go, since we've gone over the time, and just chat with you. All right.
There you have it, y'all. I hope you've enjoyed your time with us. Marriage is about mutual love and mutual respect, and it works for those willing to make it work. Real talk, our spouses are treasured jewels given to us to make life better. And the sooner we learn to value one another will be the sooner we become the most phenomenal versions of ourselves we can be. Until next time, peace from Dave and the queen of my castle, Simone. We got love for you, baby.